Friends and enemies, welcome back. CBP number 195, Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to you and your family and your friends and the Bitcoiners everywhere. And a special Merry Christmas to people who have no Bitcoin. My name's Joey. That's Len. What's going on? How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Joey, it's the pre-coiners. They could, bless them, I guess, if you want to say that. But the no-coiners, what the heck could you say to them? Krugers of the world, the shift. He says that, he says he's a no-coiner, but I probably don't think I think he stacks secrets.
You think he's got some? I think he's probably got some too. It's like almost irresponsible for him not to have any with all this exposure he gets through social media. I'm sure he's got something.
Mm-hmm. He knows about it. And Shift Gold, if you go to his website, they accept Bitcoin for gold. So what does he do with the Bitcoin? Sure, he probably converts some of it to cash for his operating costs, but maybe he's keeping a little bit of it. And given he knows about the technicals and all the fundamentals surrounding it, why would he not hold just even a small bit? And he doesn't have to have a lot, just a few hundred sats.
Pride?
A few million.
Pride?
Well, I think that guy's pride on the surface, but if you scratch and you dig down deep, I think there's more than meets the eye. He'll never say it. He's stacking. Why would he? This is now his shifts.
His Peter shtick. Whatever. We got lots to talk about tonight. I think anyway. I don't know how long we're gonna go, but first we'll talk about the sponsors. EasyDNS.
We'll revisit the 4-hour episode.
Right. Best place for you to host your content. Bring your website over. Buy a domain off of Mark. He is the friendly neighborhood domain registrar. You can't beat EasyDNS. Why? The pricing, the guarantee, money back. Not that anyone ever uses it, but you could if you wanted to. Not to mention that your domain is always going to be secure over there thanks to Domain Sure and a number of other precautions being taken on the EasyDNS platform that you just don't see other places. Me and Len do the Access of Easy podcast every week, and there are tons of big companies that are not doing anything as far as security, anything as far as protecting their customers from getting spoofed by people who snipe similar domains and take other nefarious tactical measures to grab data and cash from people, which obviously you want to have at your disposal. And that's what Mark will do for you. Not only that, but like we say all the time, unassailable, like the name of his book. Your stuff will not be taken down short of some incredibly egregious offenses. You'll be fine. And obviously Mark has been a friend of the show for a long time, so we hope you support him the same way he has supported us. And I know a lot of you guys have. If you haven't yet, go buy a domain, port a domain, whatever. You want to start a B2C pay server, shindig. You want to do a node, Nostr relay, you name it. Mark has got you covered there on the VPS side as well. EasyDNS, use the promo code CBP Media, or just tell them we sent you, and you get 50% off your first round of buy. So load the cart, man. Load the cart.
Did you hear him on not Simply Bitcoin, Bitcoin Mentors?
Mentor today. No, I didn't. I had a busy day, not related to my job, but related to my young daughter. She has entered her fussy phase, I think. So,
it's her first Christmas too. So it's a little bit of everything is going on. So yeah, Mark did a great job. Ben was on there as well, aside from Nathan, and a few people jumped on stage. Mark did a great job talking about Bitcoin, why it's so good, and his transition from being a gold bug to a Bitcoiner. It was a good listen. So
it's huge. It's huge.
I don't know if it's been recorded. If it was, I suggest anybody out there give it a listen. But
for sure,
good. Yeah, let's talk about Bull Bitcoin. Look, it's the time for giving, the time for taking, depending if you're in one mood or the other. Bull Bitcoin, they'll help you out either for giving or taking. If you want to buy from them or if you want to sell to them, they'll be able to. But not just that, like, let's be honest, this is a time where it's a good time to start introducing Bitcoin to people, your friends and families. So you can start buying Bitcoin through Bull Bitcoin and gifting that to your friends and families and your pre-coiners in your life. Your no-coiners, they could just F off. And options you could do with Bull Bitcoin, aside from buying and selling on-chain or Lightning, you could start paying your bills, right? It's your bills service. And if you have, say, like a cell phone bill or a car payment, you could use your Bitcoin. So it's sitting at 47,000 right now. So it's a decent price considering the run-up we've had. So I guess a lot of us purchased it a lot less than what it's priced right now. So it gives you an opportunity to start using it and pay your bills. Another thing you could do is you could buy these gift cards through them, and like you got to go buy from Amazon. Everybody's buying from Amazon these days, right? So why not use your Bitcoin to buy those gift cards? And so you could make those Amazon purchases with your Bitcoin. But not just that, there's other things you could buy from them for gift cards. So you could almost live on a Bitcoin standard, so to speak. That'd be pretty damn cool for everybody that has done that. I'll be honest, I have not, but I'm just stacking away. I like stacking, but check our promo code if you haven't yet done so. If you haven't opened an account, $21 will be added to your account. No questions asked. Bull Bitcoin, check them out.
Totally. Decentral Tech, our last sponsor. What a company. These guys have gone from a hobby shop to one of the most popular places to buy and interact with the home mining industry. It's been incredible, man. The stuff these guys have pumped out. I see a couple of you guys in the chat talking about how you received your bid access. I saw a number of tweets over the last little while, some posts in Discord over the last little while. There was a hang up with the shipping, but man, once you get these things, you are not disappointed. And I'm glad that they're here before Christmas. Hashing solo, easy. You want to join a pool, easy. You got a problem with your board, easy. Give them a call. You got a problem with your bid axe, call them. You want to repair, you want something new, you want to heat your house. You want to piss your neighbors off? No problem. He's got you over there. If you want to make your neighbors happy, no problem. He's got you there too. And whether you want to make a lot of noise, generate a lot of heat, or the opposite, Decentral Tech can take care of you. No promo code. Go over, buy a hash board, buy a miner, buy a home heating setup. And don't forget, man, good Canadian company. These guys are doing the best they can, and they're growing like crazy. We've enjoyed working with them so far. And I hope you guys enjoy your bid axes too. I'm hyped on that. So I know I have one here. Len's got one. A few of you guys have one as well. There might be still a few available. I'm not sure, but if there is, definitely go check them out. Because if not, we're gonna buy them up. And
did you do something with them? Upgrade your firmware on your bid axe? Mine came with an older one.
A couple of days ago, there was an update, right?
I don't know when, but I just did it. I went on the BidAxe OS.
Yeah.
Page, and from there you could check it, download it, and you can
very simple. You can actually do it right in the browser on your computer, and it'll go right to the BidAxe if you have it connected via USB. It's so easy to use, guys. Honest to God. So yeah, definitely check them out. Len, where do you want to go next? Boosts, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do boosts. Like Wartime has been sending us a ton of boosts, but let's do this first one. JPEG 81, great name, JPEG 81. And he says currently #1 track on Fountain, and points to one of our episodes. I had no idea we got to that point.
Nice. Hey.
Yeah, people.
CBP has a faithful listener base, man. I will say that seeing the amount of money that goes through the Bull promo code, you guys do not fuck around when it comes to your Bitcoin obsession, and it shows in the listening numbers, it shows in the growth of the community, and it shows in the Fountain charts too, I guess, which is nice. We've been #1 or close on Fountain a few times, I think, over the years. But I never look. I'm guilty of not checking the Fountain thing often enough.
Whatever it fucking goes, it goes. If it's high or low, it doesn't change my opinion of anything. Just I'll keep doing this recording every Monday.
Totally.
Wednesday. But Wartime, 3 different times he sent in 333 sats. So I'll just go through the 3 messages, and it's just all pictures or emojis. Beer mug and heart is one. Beer mug is another one. Nice. And a heart and a beer mug is the third one. So he's missing the heart by itself.
Is he bracketing them? Are we getting like some bracket action here? No,
no, they just one at a time. So like
interesting.
Wartime, you could reduce your sats to 333 sats, and you could send us the heart by itself next time, so you could get all 4 of them done. So check, that's an idea.
I love it.
Appreciate the sats. And Mo BTC Dick 500 sats. I've successfully got my brother and dad investing in Bitcoin.
Love it.
Problem is they're using ETFs. So they're not investing in Bitcoin. They're investing in something that's related to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
it's all in fiat dollars, right? I can't seem to make them see enough risk in self-custody for cold hard corn. Any tips? I mean, the only thing I suggest is look what's happened in our nation's capital. You could
show them. I'll tell you what you could show them. From the economic statement, there's a thing about taxes and how the government is still reviewing whether or not crypto investments, including the ETFs, I would imagine, should be eligible for tax exemptions in your TFSA. The government hates crypto. I'm going to use crypto here as an umbrella term. The government hates crypto because it is a threat to their hegemony and the strength of the dollar in terms of the enforcement of laws and the payment of taxes and all these things. And so, the government can say whatever they want about this thing not competing. It's for black market only. It's for this, for that. But they're really treating it like a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. And so whether it's an attack in terms of we're going to take the coin under custody by the ETF holders, or it's something as simple as this little incentive shift that's being planned or at least discussed, we're not going to allow people to buy this stuff in their TFSA and RRSPs. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. There's a budding sort of group of enemies coming now that this thing has sort of hit the mainstream. I don't expect it to slow down. I actually expect it to speed up, even in the States with the Trump admin.
It's interesting. I was just going to bring that up. And so you're still thinking even with them coming in.
Yeah.
Interesting. To be honest, with respect to that, I have no opinion. I just say, look what's happening in Canada. And
it's hard for me to imagine that these guys, sorry to cut you off. It's hard, like, just to finish the thought, it's hard for me to imagine that this thing continues to explode, especially in terms of price. And the guys at the top of the food chain don't start to realize how dangerous it is. Like, maybe they're positive on it for now, but it's not going to be that way. It almost inevitably and invariably has to go the other way at some point.
Well, fuck them. You know what to do. You know how to do it. And if you don't, right, like, there's enough information out there. There's enough resources you could tap into to get this thing done. And if you don't choose to do it, it's on you. But I would imagine 95% of everybody watching.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm of that opinion. I hope that's the case. If not, man, oh man, like, I'll be happy.
You're gonna have heartburn if not.
No, I'm not. It doesn't change my life. I'll be honest. My life changes not one iota, given what happens to other people's wealth. Right? If they invest in Bitcoin or something that could potentially get rugged, it changes nothing for me. I can only control my destiny. They can have control theirs. I feel bad for them, but I could lead the horse to the water. It's up to them to drink.
Yeah.
And I'll do it time and time again. I'll just try to make them drink. Yeah. A lot of Merry Christmases going on. So
yeah, we love you guys, man. I appreciate all the comments in the chat. It makes this whole thing worth it. That and the incredible wealth that we're accumulating here, buying Bitcoin at the highs over and over again.
What's funny is, think of all the effort, the energy people put into studying charts, reading information on companies.
Just buy. You've seen that Pierre Rochard tweet, right? Like, average banker works 80 hours a week, doesn't get to see his family, gets 10%. Average Bitcoiner, shit posts all day, eats steaks, way richer.
It's just all you have to do is one fucking thing. And this is not financial advice. This is what I'm doing myself. Everybody got to do their own thing. But just buy Bitcoin and just put it into cold storage. That's it. You don't have to read charts. You don't have to study up on companies. You don't have to do shit after hours. Mine fiat, and when you're done mining fiat, allocate a little bit of that towards Bitcoin and rinse and repeat.
Yeah,
that's it. Right? The rest of your time is up to you. Whatever the fuck you want to do with it. You don't got to do all that. I love it.
Yeah. Can't beat it. Those are the boosts. Some housekeeping here. No guest episode this week. No guest episode next week, unless for some reason I am motivated on Christmas Day in the evening to do a Bitcoin and barbells live from my weight room. But otherwise, you're not going to see anything. Yeah, that's it. It'll be the same thing next week. If I feel like lifting weights and talking to you for an hour, I might do it. And if I don't, then that's it. No problem there. I know you got some great guests booked for January. I booked 2 absolute bangers in the last 2 days. And I don't want to, make it sound like I'm shitting on the other people that I'm looking to book, but I got 2 guys who I really think people are going to like talking to, coming in January. And I'm not going to say their names, but they are very, very popular. One in the, investing space on Twitter, and one in the, I want to say, strength training space. We'll say, I won't name any names again, but, and then we also have, BTC Bab, Zach. We're going to talk to him in January about all the stuff they're doing at the Denver space. You may have seen tweets from him in the last little while. I want to talk to him because I really like Zach. He was one of the guys who used to come on the show, not the show, but the Friday spaces we used to do. And the show was a little smaller with Brandon from Green Candle. And, he always had a lot to say about Bitcoin and his journey. And now he's doing this great stuff in Denver. I want to find out what we can do here in Canada to make something similar. You got the Bitcoin Park in Nashville. Now this out in Denver. There's probably some other ones I'm missing, but we got a lot. To talk about with him. And then also John Rubino, who is part of the Dollar Collapse, I think is his Substack name. or Rubinos. I can't remember what it is, but he's another guy who's been big on the collapse of fiat, the explosion in currencies and whatnot, and all this other stuff. And you know what? Since I'm in a good mood and it's Christmas Eve, I'll tell you the other two names. One of them is Phil Back on Twitter, who you may know, big finance guy, big time skeptic on a lot of shit that we've been on this program for a long time. And, I've been a fan of his since I heard him on the QTR podcast last year or the year before. And we follow each other. And so I finally reached out to him. And then Len, I got Mark Ripito coming on the show. The god of the 3x5 strength training method.
I thought when you first said it would be Mark Rippin. That's honestly
Mark Ripito. No. Mark Ripito is going to come on the show.
Can I get Mark Rippin though?
If you can get Rippin, you can get him if you want. But I'm going to be talking to Mark Ripito in January. That's going to be on a Thursday afternoon. I can't remember what day, but he's the guy I've listened to for a long time. And if you don't listen to Starting Strength Radio, I don't know why you're not listening to it. It is the most unheralded based podcast on the planet. And I don't think anything comes particularly close. These guys do it from Wichita Falls, out in Texas there. So you know what kind of freedom-loving, gun-toting folks they are. And I'm fucking pumped to talk to him too about a lot of different things. So we got a bunch of absolute honkers coming up in January. So even after this little break we take, fucking strap in, because I am back from my newborn fog and I am ready to hop back in the saddle and really start, delivering damage to the regime at every turn. I can't wait.
Okay, well, let's continue this fire, Joey. Let's go right into it, because unless you have any other things you want to knock off.
That's it. Let's fucking go.
This is going to be a 6-hour episode, I think. Actually, to be honest, I got a lot to talk about. The first thing that we should knock off here is the IMF, right? This news from the IMF and El Salvador, it is very interesting. Still developing, I think. I think the most of the pieces that had to have moved on the chessboard have been moved, but still, in terms of what's going to happen at the mid and end game, a lot has to be decided. The gist of it is the IMF, they've agreed to loan out a few $1 billion. I think initially it's like 1 point something billion. But it could be
last week. If you don't have the numbers here, you can go back to last week's episode, listener, viewer, and just catch it, because we did talk about the data in terms of the numbers last week, but there's been some other developments since then.
Well, 3.5 billion is the number that it's going to, that's the maximum. These are credits they're going to be getting from the IMF, and nothing comes free, right? Like if you have to accept something, you have to give up something. What did what did El Salvador give up to the IMF? Well, there's a few things that has to do with Bitcoin. Seems like the IMF is really pissed off with Bitcoin. And if this is the thing they want to have given or taken away from El Salvador, that goes to show you how much the Bitcoin.
It's not a threat, Len. Black market only, drugs only, not a threat.
So I'll just rhyme them off. So we have taxes now are only applicable or payable in
US dollars.
USD. No more Bitcoin can be paid we can't use Bitcoin to pay taxes in El Salvador. The Chivo wallet, this is going to be mothballed. That was one of the requests or demands by the IMF. And third big one was Bitcoin payments are now going to be voluntary for private sector businesses. Public sector, nil. You can only use US dollar moving forward. There's no option to use Bitcoin. But I just want to do a quick breakdown of all of these three things. We have the payment of taxes in USD. This is only for income taxes, I think, like property taxes, income taxes, and shit like that.
Yeah.
If this also applies to VAT, because there is a VAT or VAT, value-added tax, that's available or applicable to El Salvador purchases, I think it's 13% on certain goods and services, that's going to create a real problem, because then you'd have to then make payment in USD and Bitcoin if you touch.
Right.
So that's a killer for Bitcoin if that's the case. I don't know if it is. I'm just throwing this out there because I just don't know if this also applies to VAT. If it does, it just essentially makes Bitcoin paying in that a no.
This is good. You're always on top of the stories here, but you never give your opinion. And this is the thing that everyone's thinking about.
Oh, there's more to come.
The DCA, are they buying Bitcoin with the money?
We will get into that. We'll certainly get into that, Joey. It's a slow build up here. Doing the I don't want to say
massaging to climax. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. Yeah.
So again, like as I mentioned, if you do have to pay your taxes in USD, then if you buy something in Bitcoin, it just creates it's just problematic. Anyways, there's no stopping folks in El Salvador from converting their Bitcoin to US dollars and then using that to pay their federal taxes, income taxes, property taxes, all that shit. To the best of my knowledge, El Salvador still has $0 capital gains tax on Bitcoin. So converting it, there's no tax hit. from that. So the option still exists. Yeah, this relies on banks. I understand that. Yeah, it's an extra step, but the door hasn't closed on this in total. I'm just trying to say it is there. I know we Bitcoiners, we want to try to separate ourselves from banks, but this is one of the now options moving forward if you want to use your Bitcoin to pay taxes there. The Chivo wallet getting the axe, right? Whatever, right? This hasn't been a raging success. Everything I've read so far, the Chivo wallet hasn't been all that well adopted. I'll get some statistics here. By mid 2022, for instance, more than 60% of Chivo wallet users, they had yet to have made a transaction. Although they were given that money, that $30, but they were yet to have made a transaction by mid 2022. And by 2023, it was found that 88% of surveyed Salvadorians never used Bitcoin. That's by 2023. 88% of Salvadorians never use Bitcoin, right? So the IMF, if they want to strong arm them into getting rid of the Chivo wallet, good move, IMF. I mean, fantastic move. You picked the right one. Apparently, Chivo potentially could be sold off too, right? So if this is done, I mean, whoever wants to buy it, I mean, I don't know who would want to buy this thing, but if they do, maybe the proceeds could be used to buy some more Bitcoin moving forward, right? Potentially, they're going to get some money coming in. What are they going to do with it? So let's talk about Bitcoin payments here, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's voluntary for businesses. For public sector, it's not. For private, it is voluntary. So if a business values Bitcoin, they're going to accept it. Plain, that's it. They're going to accept it. Or if they don't value it, they're not going to accept it. Have fun staying poor. But this may end up being like, the end of buying a Big Mac in El Salvador using Lightning. I think this might be the end of it. We'll see moving forward. We'll see which businesses are pro Bitcoin and which ones are not, because it's voluntary. It's up to them to pick. You can choose if they want to use it or not. But even after this move, all this willing and dealing with the IMF, El Salvador is reportedly buying more Bitcoin. They scooped up 11 Bitcoin in one day this past week. That's more than they typically buy. And if you could look at this whole news, I think it's within a couple of different hats. We have the Bitcoiner hat and the Salvadorian hat, right? We can't discount the Salvadorian side of things. So the Bitcoiner that has a direct investment in El Salvador or plans to, they're likely pissed, right? There are folks out there that probably invested a great deal of money so far.
It was like 4 Bitcoin or something to get a citizenship there. And now you're getting now you're living in a state, the 51st IMF state, basically, right? Like, it's not great.
Those people are pissed, and rightfully so, right? Because they were sold a false bill of goods. And let's be honest, there are people that are even wanting to establish roots in El Salvador. There was the El Salvador Freedom Visa Program. There was also expedited citizenship through donations to the government for social or economic development programs, such as you mentioned right there, or other programs. So people have put their fucking money where their mouth is. They wanted to get, so
you had to buy land, you had to give Bitcoin, there was a number of different things you could have done to become basically an economic migrant to El Salvador.
And it wasn't a free thing.
How many times have I been to meetups? The optometrist, I know you're listening or watching, all the guys like the optometrist and his wife, brave souls for taking the plunge, but there was warning signs here all along the way. We talked about them on this show.
Warnings. Look, let's be honest.
I don't think we ever said it was going to go this way, but I do think, I don't think, I know that I said that there's no way this has a higher chance of being successful coming from the government down as it does if it comes from the ground up. And you see,
there's more.
Now. I know.
There's more to it because we're dealing with a political person here, right? And that goes with the El Salvador hat, right? So, but I mean, I just want to tie a bow on this Bitcoin side of things, a Bitcoiner, because there's people out there that had high hopes of a Bitcoin future in El Salvador. Now this has been dashed. They were given the short end of the stick. But there are Bitcoiners out there who have never or will never go to El Salvador, and they're pissed off from this. They have no connection to El Salvador. They have no direct skin in the game, so to speak. They're pissed. Yeah, it sucks we lost a country that is the only Bitcoin country out there that's using as legal tender. But you got to take a step back here, and then that you have to put on the Salvadorian hat, right? And there are people out there. We had an election last year, I think it was beginning of last year, or earlier this year, Bukele ran again to be president, and he had to jump through hoops in order to get it. And we talked about this at great length with Jaime Garcia. Thank you, Jaime. And actually, I talked to him offline about this too, not just him getting elected, but what happened this past week with IMF. But either way, there are people that voted for Bukele, and Bukele's job, I could be wrong, I believe it's to be the political leader of El Salvador, and he has to represent each citizen to the best of his ability, and maybe his residents too, but his citizens mostly. So this money from the IMF, right? It could be used. I'm not saying for sure. It could be used to make the country better. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But he is doing his job as a political figure. The track record of the IMF is spotty at best. And anybody they get involved with, it's fucking brutal. But so this remains to be seen if this is going to turn into a raging success, is borrowing up to $3.5 billion. But this could potentially unlock government capital that was previously earmarked for projects. But now they could potentially buy more Bitcoin. They bought 11 Bitcoin in one day this past week. So maybe this is a possibility. So ultimate goal, if they do that, that would be giving the middle finger to the IMF, which would be great. But even if El Salvador didn't need the money, which it seems like they do, they had a tool available to them at their disposal, Bitcoin, right? And it allowed them to keep this through this. They were able to parlay some things. They never sold their Bitcoin through all this. They still have it. And still with that, they're taking on debt in a depreciating currency, USD. This is, the way I look at it, the sailor move, but in a different light. I'm not saying it is a sailor move, but in essence, they're taking on debt in USD and hanging on to their Bitcoin, maybe buying more with all this. But again, let's see how this shit plays out. This is a long-term thing. We probably won't even see the end result for a decade or longer before we see what happens. Bukele, he is and will always be a politician. He may be a Bitcoin politician, but remember, he's still a politician, right? And we've seen this shit before. Eric Adams, Francis Suarez. The road, Joey, is littered with folks like this.
The corpses of Bitcoin politicians.
So that's it. That's my opinion. As a Bitcoiner, it sucks.
Do you really think? Okay,
I don't have skin in the game here.
Do you really think that this guy is buying Bitcoin with IMF money?
Not with IMF money, but maybe the money that they have earmarked for shit like that. I'll give you an example. Like they plan to build this Bitcoin city or this volcano shit. Yeah. Maybe they were going to do that. But now, you know what? Rather than using their own money right now to do that, or future money from taxes, use IMF money to do that kind of stuff. And then the money that they had originally earmarked, buy Bitcoin. So they're not using the Bitcoin money, the IMF money to buy Bitcoin. They're still using their own. So they could probably still be living up to the terms and conditions of it. I don't know. Again, I have to see how this plays out over the next little while. I don't want to nail this guy to the cross right now. I don't want to say this is a good move or a bad move because I just don't know. I don't live there. I don't see what the fuck's going on over there. I am not a Salvadorian. I don't have family over there. I could say that anecdotally, it seems like a lot has improved in the past few years, a lot due to his policies. Now, it isn't strictly with Bitcoin policies. It's how he dealt with the drugs and the crime and so forth. Great for him. Great for the citizens. Is this move that's going to be closing up to the IMF? Is it going to make El Salvador a worse place in the future? It remains to be seen. But I have hopes it's going to be better.
I think it's done. And the reason I think it's done is because the IMF, there's two kinds of deal you cut with an international organization like the IMF. One is the public deal that has minor concessions, like we're going to unwind Chivo, which was a bad idea from the start and lacked functionality as far as I remember. Concessions like we're not going to make private vendors take Bitcoin. So no more videos of buying a Big Mac with Bitcoin, like you said, fine. Those are public concessions that are easy to stomach for Bitcoin supporters. And to your point, the reason that a politician like Bukele makes those concessions public is because there's a whole other set of concessions that he made privately that he can't share or that he won't share. The IMF is a criminal organization, almost a terrorist organization. They never actually support the goals that they claim to support with these financial aid packages and loan packages. And it's debt slavery. It's been debt slavery since the beginning of the IMF. They're not changing now. They didn't suddenly find God in the last 2 weeks. I mentioned last week that this also opens the door to other loans that El Salvador either needs or is being told they must take. the thing to me, Len, that's going to be the biggest indicator of whether or not this guy actually has the reins there is if crime ticks back up. If you start seeing crime and dangerous spots to live tick back to the upside, then that's going to tell me that this guy is no longer at the helm. That he's playing ball because somebody threatened him with something and made him a deal he couldn't refuse, to quote a great movie. So to me, it's like, it's a sad state of affairs, but this is why if you're going to take a swing at the king, you can't miss. And so, he didn't get the kind of adoption and just powerhouse story that he needed on the international stage to make this a difficult thing for the IMF to do. Instead, he got, decent bond pricing, had a little bit of an economic resurgence, a big time social cohesion boost in terms of getting rid of criminals, but it wasn't enough is the view that I have. And I think it's over there now as far as this whole Bitcoin country thing. I don't see how you could see it any other way. The IMF is winless in terms of getting countries out of financially dire straits, but they are undefeated in terms of keeping people under their thumb. And this is another example of that, in my opinion. I think that's the way it's going to look, a year from now, 2 years from now, going on and on.
I'm wondering how much influence the United States had in this decision.
Tons.
So to me, I find that to be rather interesting, because when we have an outgoing administration and an incoming one which appears to be Bitcoin friendly, or at least closer to being Bitcoin friendly than the outgoing administration. So with that being said, Bukele, it makes me wonder, did he blink or flinch too soon? Would it have been wiser for him to have waited at least a few months for Trump and to get in?
It's hard to wait, right? Like the IMF, all these places will, like, they're not calling you and then leaving a voicemail. They're fucking killing you if you don't do what they ask. Like they're not nice. It's not a negotiation. And that's the thing that people don't get about these organizations. Like whether it's the IMF or other NGOs, this whole term NGO is fucking bullshit. There's no such thing as an NGO. It's NGOs. I can't remember if it was Mike Benz who said this or somebody, but it's like, it's been this way for a long time. I had a professor in university, Charles Burton, who used to say this about NGOs in not so specific terms, but he was right that NGOs are a way for governments to do things that are illegal through basically arms of their power, thanks to funding, right? Oh, we're giving donations to this country, that, or this group, that group, this organization, that organization. NGOs only exist because of the money coming from the G's. Okay. So they are GOs, not NGOs. And these guys don't fuck around. Like, it's not about, could he have waited 4 more months? No. It's like, if you wait 4 more months, you're going to find yourself with some poison in your eggs, or a member of your family is going to die, or like and people who are like, oh, come on, that's, too black pill. You got to be more realistic than that. They're not killing everybody they don't like. Companies a lot smaller, like Boeing, fucking kill people all the time. You don't think the IMF is going around killing people? There's a lot more at stake for the IMF and for the dollar hegemony than there is for the guys at Boeing who want to blow the whistle on DEI hires, fucking up door installations or whatever. These guys will kill you. They will kill your family members. They have done it. They're going to continue to do it. And the idea that you can negotiate with them, there's no such thing. There is no such thing as compromise in the real world, right? Whether it's at work or in politics. It's the guy who has more power deciding what he can tolerate from you in the meantime on his way to a goal that, may steamroll you at some point. That's what this is. And so there's no negotiation. There's no waiting 4 months, none of that stuff. It's this is real life hardball. And Bukele, who is a politician now, but was, I think, a marketing guy before, has found himself outmatched, outwitted, and in a very literal sense, probably outgunned by the IMF. And he better do this and be careful. And I think people like the Bitcoin crowd, I see people talking, there's tweeting out, oh, he's buying Bitcoin with the IMF money. Zero fucking chance. Zero chance he's buying Bitcoin with that money. They're done with that. You're not going to see these guys as a Bitcoin country 2 years from now. No chance. Zero chance.
So that's the beauty. This remains to be seen. You're saying that's a guarantee. I'm of the opinion I don't know what's going to be outcome here.
He's not even going to be the president in 2 years. So, are you telling me that next he can't run again?
2 years. From what I gather, it's still a 4-year term, if I recall correctly. It's still.
So he have 3 years left?
I think so.
Okay, so 3 years from now, he's not going to be the president. Like, is this guy really on the way out going to try and usurp the IMF and the dollar military complex? Like, I just don't see it. Where's the incentive? I mean, we're Bitcoiners. We like incentives. What's the incentive?
The good question. I don't know. There's a lot here. Like I say, the chess pieces have moved, and the mid and end game still has yet to be played. I don't think we're far into it as I think it is, or as you think it is. I think you think it's much closer to the end.
Put it in the book.
I don't know.
To be revisited. That we'll never revisit it until it's a story again. But we have many things we disagreed on that we were supposed to be revisiting.
We revisit stuff.
Add this to the list.
We revisit stuff all the fucking time, and we do not directly, but indirectly. Even at the beginning of this show, we talked about something which we had, back and forth, and there seems to be an agreement on how things should be done. So we may not do it directly, Joey, but indirectly we come to it. All roads lead to land. Remember that all fucking roads do. Let's talk about this metric that is showing that Bitcoin is very popular these days amongst everybody, normies, pre-coiners, Bitcoiners alike. Not actually the price. I'm showing 64,000. Sorry, 94,000 still. 64 would be fucking great. I'd like to buy at that price, but 94. The sales of the Bitcoin Standard, the book, on Amazon, it's going. I'll say it's parabolic. If you look at the chart, look at it. It seems like it's going.
Looks like the XRP chart, straight up.
Anyway, I think you once called a cockroach of the.
I know. Never dies. I got guys I play football with asking me if they should buy XRP, and they're like, "It's up 100%." I just say it's the same price it was basically like 8 years ago. Like it pumps and dumps every cycle. Just fucking ignore it. Bitcoin's like 5 times the price every 5 years.
I don't understand the case use of it, and there's so much. And not that it's hard for me to comprehend. It's as a Bitcoiner, it's definitely doesn't jive with the future that I want to see play out.
No.
But with respect to the Bitcoin Standard, the book, if you look at the sales on Amazon, it's very interesting because as of earlier this month, December 13th, for example. This is according to a site called Helium 12, where you can get this kind of information. The 7-day moving average for the Bitcoin Standard was 232. And if you compare this to the rest of 2024, the moving average was around 50 or less. So this is as per visual. I don't have exact numbers, but just looking at that, and that shows like there's a lot of people that are buying this, which is absolutely great. The book is a little bit older compared to others, but it's still one of the very first ones I recommend to people that want to get into this space and learn about it. Most pre-coiners should read it, or even Bitcoiners who haven't read it should read it.
It has the wrong title. It should be the title of the book should be How We Got Here. It's a great history of monetary failures, rises and falls. Yeah, it's a really good book. And the Bitcoin in the title, I think, scares people away, but it's a really solid read.
Yeah. And so anybody out there, I highly recommend read it, listen to it. You can actually listen to the audio if you really want to on a very popular streaming video platform that we are potentially streaming on right now. And so its channel is just the audio, but you can still listen to it if you wanted to on your runs or your whatever the fuck you're doing. Maybe even gift it to a friend or family. It's a good time to think about it. But I just want to say this is a metric that Bitcoin is very popular, which is very bullish.
You love to see it, man. People are paying attention. I'm looking forward to seeing what my friends and family say this year at Christmas, though I won't be seeing that many of them thanks to my little one still being pretty young. But, soon enough, a lot of people will be, I think, asking questions. I mean, like I said to you before, the other thing I think is funny as far as like normie interest is I got so many messages when we dropped 20% from 50K down to 40K to 35K, but I got almost no messages from anybody when we dropped from 108 to 93 because everyone's just like, fuck, like I'd still like to have it at 93. So I think the interest is going to peak exactly. I think the interest is going to continue to go up because people are looking at this and going, maybe they're onto something here. There might be something here for the first time, right? They're thinking that for the first time. And it's not about, oh man, it's crashing. It's going to zero. It's crashing and it's going to 1 million. Can I get some?
Buy in, make some friends with Bitcoiner. I've gifted some Bitcoin for Christmas this year.
Are you giving out any open dimes?
No, I do the Sats card. I prefer the Sats card. I think it's easier to use than an open dime.
Doesn't look as cool though. The open dime is like a good hook. Like the aesthetic of the open dime is undefeated.
Oh shit! I had one around here. I don't know where it is now. Anyways,
this. I rented it in the other room. I'm pretty sure.
I rented a Sats card, which is very sad. I gave away my last one, so I gotta make an order for more. Anyways, there's a company out there, Joey, that's called Cango, Cango, Cango,
Okay.
traded on New York Stock Exchange, CANG. Sorry, CANG is the ticker. Have you heard of this company before, Joy? Because I have never heard about it.
I can't say that I have. I can't say
All
that
right,
I
so
have.
this is a Chinese company. Who would have guessed what that name is Chinese? That operates an online platform facilitating automotive transactions, right? So they connect car buyers, dealers, financial institutions, and other industry participants within the Chinese marketplace. So essentially, it's like a central hub for buying, or including financing service. It's kind of like Bitcoin and exchanges, except they could offer a little bit more, like even financial services. But either way, it's been reported this company, they are gearing up to be one of the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miners. Imagine that, Joey. What the fuck exactly? December 6th, information came out, was released by them. Remember, they're publicly traded. The company flew under the radar because they reportedly mined, as of December 6th, for the month of November, 363 Bitcoin. And according to yesterday's price, that's $34 million, give or take.
Pretty good. Yeah.
They have an aggregate hash rate right now, 32 exahash per second. And they plan to acquire another $144 million of ASICs, and that's going to give them another 18 exahash per second. So they're going to be, if this all works out as planned, around 50 exahash per second. When the news came out of all this, the stock price doubled from around $4 to $8. And the market cap, as of I saw Sunday, so yesterday, the market cap was still around $350 million. So not too big. But either way, the question is why? Mm-hmm. Why are they doing this? Why is a Chinese company buying ASICs, mining Bitcoin, considering the connection and all the hoopla we had about China and Bitcoin? Why mine when they could simply buy? Like, there's a lot of questions I don't know. Are they getting electricity for free or nearly free? Do they have a connection because of the proximity they have with Bitmain? Are they getting some? I don't know what
they're doing it because it's the best money in the world. That's why they're doing it. It's the best money in the world.
But if you can simply just buy it, why fucking mine?
Good question.
That's what I want to. You know, if you're going to just buy the electricity, the question, where are they fucking getting it? How much wired? So there's questions I just don't have the answer to. But a Chinese company, publicly traded, is going to be one of the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miners out there if this plays out, for better or for worse.
I'll pass on that equity purchase. Interesting that you mentioned the power thing, right? It's always a fun topic to discuss where these guys are able to procure power at rates that make mining profitable. I don't know. The other thing to consider is that sometimes, like we've talked about before, boards are unfriendly to certain treasury assets because there's hurdles you have to get over. But mining as an operation change may be a little easier to get through something like that, especially on a publicly traded equity. Now, I don't know if that's the case here, but that's one thing I would think is at least one possible reason they're doing it this way. But to your point, you know, it's hard for me to imagine the board approve something that's cash flow negative if the price of power and the cost of hardware and all this stuff was higher than just buying Bitcoin would have been. So we'll see. I mean, there's always more on this. I remember when the Semler story dropped, and there's been others along the way too, like these companies that are mining / buying / whatever. And the other thing to consider, Len, is even the miners now are buying Bitcoin. So these guys are going the opposite direction, right? They're really taking the road that's now less traveled. So we'll see why. I mean, I'm sure they're not giving money away. There must be some reason or something that's enabling them to take the strategy. So let's hang in and wait for another update.
You hear about the safe harbor bullshit?
No.
So it's a new rule, safe harbor, under the IRS, not IMF, IRS revenue procedure. So this could potentially impact Bitcoiners who, hold or spend their Bitcoin moving forward. The new rule should make it easier or harder. I'm not sure how to figure this out for Bitcoiners out there to manage their Bitcoin moving forward. And this comes into play January 1st, 2025. So we're just mere days away for this to go live. So people in the US will have to start tracking their corn on a per wallet basis. Wow. You don't have to track it now, or you don't have to track it as you are holding one large wallet. it's per wallet basis. So what the fuck does this mean? I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, but this, in my humble opinion, is going to make an added layer of complexity to this all for managing and reporting your Bitcoin transactions for taxation purposes.
I was about to say, okay.
Yeah, so it's just looking at this, and granted, I'm not an accountant. I would suggest for people out there that are living in that jurisdiction to talk to an accountant, but some of the tax jargon that's included now are specific unit allocation, global allocation, shit like that. So it's very, and I wonder too, on top of all this, and I just don't know the answer, this is going to impact Lightning nodes, because Lightning nodes out there, there's a lot of rebalancing. Money comes in, money comes out through routing of transactions and shit. I just don't know. So I look at this and I'm thinking, man, oh man, it's going to be a challenge out there for a lot of people that are Bitcoiners. I think the best thing one should do is just try to, keep as few wallets as possible and try not to spend your Bitcoin. Just hodl. I think that's the best course of action until we can wrap our heads around everything. Until then, who the fuck knows what to do?
This is from the crypto-friendly U.S. administration.
This is the current administration.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to ask yourself, do you think Trump and Sachs are going to unwind this? Like the thing that's going to tell you whether or not these guys are friendly to Bitcoin, they can put whatever policies they want around, and they will, by the way, around ICOs and self-custody and all this stuff. But the thing that's going to tell you whether or not they're actually friendly to it is what they treat it as when it comes to tax time. Are you allowed to have de minimis transactions? Are you allowed to do all these things? If you're not, they're not friendly to it.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Joey. That's the metric one should use it to determine how friendly they are to Bitcoin or not. If they're making it so onerous for you to actually buy and use it, or even buy and hold, that's a good indication.
It's the only indication. Like everything else is already basically impossible to make illegal, right? Like it's very hard to make self-custody illegal. It's very hard to make node running, home mining. It's very hard, but it's not hard to charge people tax. And that's a thing that they could track fairly easily, especially if they put together a competent group of people to do so. The Biden administration, I don't know if you saw the Christmas picture of the White House. No. I've never seen so many incompetent people in one photo. It is a DEI slop show nightmare. It's like if you asked AI to put together the most diverse group of people without consideration for their actual skills, this is the photo you get. It looks like AI brain rot. And the incoming administration is not going to take this approach. It's Elon, Sachs, Ramaswamy, Homan, like you name every guy you see, every man and woman you see is extremely competent in their silo. And there isn't going to be any concern for, the color of your skin or your sexual orientation or any of this stuff with the coming administration. And so, while the Biden administration, a nap time president, as I've called him, is ready for almost nothing when it comes to Bitcoin, crypto, and instead tried to hit it with a hammer through Liz Warren and her goons, the incoming administration understands, I think, the complexities and will take steps to either make it very easy or make it very hard. But again, like I said before, on the surface, they may say things like your right self-custody is protected. Trump went to Bitcoin 2024. We've talked about the speech in the past. You're going to be able to use your Bitcoin. You're going to be able to hold your Bitcoin. There's never going to be a CBDC. That's easy stuff. It's the tax treatment that matters. Because if you can't spend it and you can't hold it, then what are you going to do with it? You got to leave with it. And even that may become difficult if the regime is unfriendly to it. And you're going to find out very quickly whether these guys are serious or not. I think what you're actually going to see, like I said, is an environment that's very easy and very friendly for VCs and VC activity. So less regulation around Coinbase and less regulation around the ETFs and maybe some other loosening of legislation, loosening of rules from the SEC and stuff like that. And maybe some clear guidance on Bitcoin and other crypto assets. But that's low hanging fruit. It's stuff that could have been done years ago. And actually the Bitcoin Policy Institute, among other think tanks, even for crypto assets, not just for Bitcoin, have put forward policy proposals that make a lot of sense. And they just haven't been adopted because it's easier to enforce through litigation than it is to clarify through legislation. And that's what the SEC has been doing. The new SEC, I don't think, is going to do that. They're going to be very clear, and we're going to find out how much friction they want you to have. My guess, Len, is it's more than people are thinking they're going to have. And also, like, The other thing that's going to be a telling sign is what they do with this strategic reserve. Are they going to do a strategic reserve? If they don't do one, then there's little things like that.
That's not a little thing. That is it is a binary thing. You talk about it, and then all of a sudden you don't do it.
Exactly. It's pretty major, right? That and the free Ross Ulbricht. Like if you don't free Ulbricht on day one, like you're kind of showing your hand, right? So let's see what they do. So,
and I don't want it to pump Canada's bags here, but I don't see much change yet for buying or using Bitcoin in Canada.
You have to report buys here starting next year.
Okay, that is fine, right? Now, in terms of what's going on over there, that's easier to deal with than it is over there. What I'm trying to get at,
tracking per wallet, like
is a pain in the ass.
It sounds like you're just tracking cells per wallet. Are you not
tracking per wallet? Everything. By comparison, I could easily have a spreadsheet of what I purchased. Yeah. I just want to say Canada tends to, comparatively to the United States, has been easier to deal with respect to Bitcoin. Look at the laws, look at the regulations. ETFs were approved here. Francis has even talked about how much better comparatively it is here.
Yeah, it's friendlier here. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people say this or that, but Canada has some advantages to do with Bitcoiners. So take advantage while it's still there. Could be taken away. And Craig, I just want to talk about him. He's been proven wrong once again following a contempt hearing in the UK. Sorry.
Wrong. Okay, yeah.
He was proven wrong, this guy. I don't know who the heck he is, but he no-showed the event like a disgruntled wrestler. So he did this by Zoom like it's 2020. And that's why he's somewhere in Asia, he said. Specifically where, parts unknown. And he was sentenced to 12 months in prison, but it was suspended for 2 years. So it looks like slap on the wrist, maybe. But I don't think things are going well over there. This is maybe coming to a conclusion with all this, which is wonderful considering how litigious he has been over the years and putting people through a lot of hell. So good to see this go. Yeah.
Milk carton, Calvin Ayre. Where's he been since this whole thing unraveled? No idea. But another guy who just completely has disappeared. So make of that what you will.
So for our American listeners and viewers out there, Swan, they will be releasing a new awards card. It's called the Swan card. And this is a Bitcoin rewards card. No details as of yet, but I guess it would be something similar to what we have here in Canada, the Shake Pay card, if I were to hazard a guess how it would look like. And probably this is going to be another opportunity for people to stack Bitcoin. Having options is good. I like this. It's going to be released. They're planning Q2 2025. So we're about 6 months-ish or less away from this. There is a website you could go to if you're a Swan user and want to get access to this right away as soon as it's ready. It's called swanbitcoin.com/card. And from there, you could sign up to get priority access. And I assume it's going to be a rolled out approach, just the way SakePay did as well, because that way, if there are any bugs in the system, that way they could just deal with it and a small number of users are impacted. And also they could test systems and so forth. So with respect to the details, I don't know. But again, like I said, options are good. Fold is available in the United States, and a lot of people talk fondly of this. So maybe if there's competition, there could be more opportunities for people to stack for spending. This is
competition
great.
Is good, man. I don't much care for Swan these days, but anything that increases the amount of competitiveness in the industry, especially when it comes to stuff like onboarding, I'm for it big time. How's Fold's IPO?
Did it go sideways? It was supposed to come out and then it just didn't.
I haven't been tracking it, but we haven't really talked. We never talked about Fold on the show. I think we might have talked about them when they announced the IPO, but I haven't heard anything since then. Are
you a Fold spinner? I still spin my Fold wheel.
I uninstalled the app when they changed because they wanted me to KYC on the update, and so I was like, well, I'm not doing that. What do you get, like 5 sats a day or something, like whatever?
Up to 100, but you don't have to give proper information. You can just give whatever you want.
I didn't.
VPN everything, and
let's keep rolling. I might have to leave you for a couple minutes because I really have to fire off a turd, which is rare during the show. I think it's only happened one other time.
Before you go, I just want you to maybe you want to just add something here because a turd of a story. Porter and
Oh,
the
fuck.
buddies over there. Do you want to talk about it? Because there seems to be a lot of
I don't know.
over there.
I don't know enough. I like David Bailey. I like Dennis Porter. I don't know enough about the story. There's claims of AI, claims of not AI, whatever. I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. But as far as I'm concerned, I would just say, let sleeping dogs lie. It doesn't matter. These guys are pushing toward the same thing at the end of the day. As long as they're not really rubbing people the wrong way, then there's more competition. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all there is to it. I can't say for sure that someone is using AI or not using AI. So
I have no fucking clue. I don't give a shit. But let's end this because it sounds like something is turtling over there.
Is there a way to pause the stream? Like, can we go on a break? Like, what do we do? Just go on
a loop video. Upload a video.
I don't have a loop video.
No,
okay, you do it. I gotta go.
Be quick. Well, let's end this fucking Bitcoin segment. Go to the
God bless you. Stay here. I'll be back in like 10 minutes or less, promise. And until next time, take care of yourself.
Take care. Don't be a cock.